there were a few things that I wanted to touch on, but we can
Sure.
talk about this for a few minutes. That's fine. But I want
Oh
to
no, go
ask this
ahead.
though, because you on the stream earlier with Jay, there was a part of the stream, and I watched both of the conversations. I
Mhm.
watched the stream that he was on your page yesterday. I watched the whole thing, and I also watched the whole stream you guys did this morning over on his page. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
good. That definitely has some questions for you.
Sure enough.
I would consider Jay to be a good friend. I've known him for, about 2 years or something like that. He's a cool guy when you get to know him. But anyway, you made a statement in the stream and said that, you don't necessarily believe in the Bible and any of that. But I have to ask, since we're going over these weird things taking place in the
Mhm.
world right now, it's like, do you have a belief that we're like in some type of like last days, end of the world, or do you not?
Yes. Yes, I do. Absolutely. Some of the things that get to see, you got to go into a little bit of the background. At one time I was like, okay, so this guy got a hold of some bad rye bread and he tripped balls and had this fantasy and he wrote it down. Okay. I went from that to holy shit, man. I think that they're using this revelation as a script. Okay. I started thinking like that. I was like, they're using that as a script. They're trying to fulfill prophecies so that they can get dupe and a bunch of, Christians or whatever else.
Well,
But then
could I have like,
when I start seeing supernatural changes occurring in the very scripture where it's prophesied that that will happen, okay, I'm like, wait a second, because look, I some of these verses I know because of my upbringing. I mean, you heard them all the time, you know, and to see that they've changed and many of them into something that would be considered blasphemous, saying God, the Creator's name is jealous. That's insane. What the hell?
well,
No, it
well, let me
isn't.
let me comment real quick because again, as I said, I watched both of the streams, and it does seem to me it's like, it does get a little repetitive because it seems like the only topic that you guys are talking about is this idea of a Mandela effect. It's like, isn't there any other topics that you guys look into, or is that like the only thing that you
How
guys?
often have you ever watched my show, Et?
I often have watched your show. Well, the first time I found your show was like maybe 2 3 days ago when my buddy
Okay.
hopped on. But I did look through your video list. I scrolled
Mhm.
down to see, but
So
I
then
didn't
you
get
see
far
that
enough
it's
yet.
not. So then you see that it's not
But
all about
what
Mandela effect, right?
let me finish real quick. It's like, can you understand, at least from the perspective I'm saying? It's like, say for example, you guys were on for, well, you were there for probably like 3 hours earlier today, and then yesterday he was on there for a good 2 hours. So that's like
Mhm,
5 hours back to back about
mhm,
the exact same topic. It's like, you know,
mhm.
don't you guys, can't you talk about anything else other than that one topic?
No, I don't think Jay is capable of talking about anything. Really, he's really doesn't know
But
anything at all.
I,
He
I mean,
really
but
doesn't.
how can you wait a second? But with that same line of logic, though, right? That you used you asked me, it's like, well, wait, how do I know you don't talk about anything else if I'm new to your page? And then I have to ask you, it's like, well, wait, how can you say the same thing about Jay if you just found him like 2 days ago? How could you say the same thing
Well,
about him?
because every topic that was mentioned on my show and his, he had obviously done zero research into.
But
He
do you want to
admitted
talk
it
about one
himself. Hold
topic?
on, he admitted it himself. Now, do you agree that refutation or condemnation without investigation is the epitome of ignorance? In other words, to just blatantly disregard something without looking into it yourself, isn't that kind of ignorant?
I can agree that it would be an
That's
ignorant.
not what
That
smart
just
people do, is it?
please let. Can I please finish though? I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say I can agree that it would be an ignorant, statement for somebody to totally dismiss something just off
Right,
of hearing it without looking into it. I
right.
definitely understand that, but with what you're saying, right? It's like, I don't see, in all fairness, I don't see how you could say that he don't know anything about anything if you guys only talked about one subject. I mean, that doesn't
Bro,
seem like fair.
we tried to get into his wheelhouse. And all that I could glean from that was that he knows the names of some of these secret societies. He didn't really give any kind of a correlation or relationship to them. He doesn't know the correlation or relationship that they have with one another. He's gone off. Listen, here's the thing. He's bent at Brian Stavely over something that Brian Stavely said about his uncle that chapped his ass. That's all. Because a smart person, we just decided that, would not engage into the things like he said without any type of investigation whatsoever. He couldn't give me any type of reasoning why he thinks that Brian is not only just an agent, but specifically a Mossad agent. Now, is there some distinguishing characteristic that one would be able to pick out if I wanted to know if someone was either CIA or Mossad? What would be an indicator of this revelation that you came to? And his only answer was It's a vibe I get. That was it. So when he said with a blanket affirmation, an affirmation that the Mandela effect is a psyop, and you say, how much have you looked into it? And he says, well, I only know about Brian Staley. So that's the answer to me is that you've never looked into it at all. You just make this claim. So we walk him through not only on my panel, but on his panel, as his guests found, that these changes indeed have happened. The man could not find the word tablet anywhere in his Bible. It was now table. He could not find the iconic ending to We Are the Champions on the studio cut.
Not
okay?
To cut you off.
So what we did, hold on a second. So even in real time, people within his own audience, in the chat and on panel, had seen and experienced a Mandela effect of something. Because that one guy said, what the hell? No way. And then what did he say? Oh, you got me on that. Like, how I did that? I came and changed your fucking shit? I didn't do that. That's what I'm talking about, right? So if you are to go, and there we have just a few minor examples right on the channel of opposition, with the people opposing it finding these things to have actually changed, but you still think it's a psyop. Okay, so how's that work? There's Mandela burglars, there's these people, these cat-like fucking burglars sneaking into people's houses and changing their shit. Really? Come on, man. So I don't see where you're seeing any brightness, because I don't see that a smart person would operate in that type of a capacity.
Okay, really in all fairness, though, you've said a lot of things in the last 2 minutes, so you should be able to allow me to give a response, because you mentioned like 5 different topics. Hold on, just give me a minute.
It's all you. I'm gonna smoke some weed.
Okay, what I'm saying is that you mentioned 5 different topics at the same time, so it's like I want to comment on one thing you said, but by the time you're done with the statement, because you're talking for 2 minutes straight, I might forget what you said at the beginning. But anyway, about the tables and the tablets, I just want to understand this, because I did listen to the stream, right? So my question is, when you say the tables, right, are you saying that they're like actual, say for an example, like folding tables, or are the tables mean like a stone that's like cut into like a long shape, or do you mean like actual like wooden table? What do you mean by that?
Well, it says that the material was stone, and that these commandments were carved into stone tables. Okay, whereas we know that it was tablets. This is just known. Even like there's another things exactly like that. The emerald tablets of Thoth. Why aren't they called tables? They're hewed into a mineral in the same manner as the 10 Commandments as described in the Bible originally. So why is it now changed to tables?
Okay, are you familiar with the Georgia Guidestones?
Yeah, they just got blown up. That was how that was their kickoff whistle.
Okay, well, the reason I brought it up is I have to ask, would it be wrong to say those are tables of stone, even though they don't exist today? When they did stand, would it be wrong to say those are tables of stone that have 10
commandments? It would be rather. I think that would be rather. I think that would be a miswording of them. Absolutely. I think a monolith. We know that Moses didn't carry monoliths down, right? I mean, another thing that we look at too is just the replication of such a story by Metro Goldwyn Mayer, I believe, did the 10 Commandments, starring Charlton Heston as Moses. And I remember him carrying stone tablets down from Mount Sinai to the people, and not tables. But what's alarming about it, whether or not one word could be synonymous with another, we know that it once said tablets, and it is no longer there. The word has changed supernaturally in people's Bibles. There's other words that have been added that were not even in the lexicon of the time. Even the parable about putting new wine into old skins. Okay,
once again,
it makes no sense.
Once again, you're not saying anything new here, because I listened to both the streams, and I heard all the points that you just said. You mentioned all of these in the live stream. But going back to the tables, right? It's like, would you say it's unreasonable to say that? And there's an echo coming through in the background. I'm not sure whose mic that's from. But would it be unreasonable to say that the tablets of stone could be called tables of stone? Like, why would
you could call them a list. You could call them anything you want to. The point of the matter is is that where it once said tablets in hard copy paper and ink Bibles that people and pastors have perused over throughout their life has now changed. Even in the Bible passed down from grandma that has been looked over by your parents and yourself, and you go and you say, that's weird. How did that change? I've read that 100 fucking times and now it's tables? What? So how does something like that supernaturally change?
Well, what I would say is that it could be possible that over the course of time, the printing presses that print the Bible might have changed a word. Like, I'll give an example. I was reading the other day in one of the books, and it mentioned the word "the." It repeated it 2 times. So that could have just been an error that they made when they.
So then we would only see that. Then we would only see that error in certain copies, right?
Well, no, it's
not every print. So you're saying it's a printing press error? That's not even statistically possible.
But you see, you're not allowing me to finish my point before you chime in.
All right.
What I'm saying is they could over time they might have went in and changed certain words, so the ones that are printed from after that time would contain the new words in it in place of the old words. Would you agree that could be a possibility?
No, well, no, because it doesn't hold. It doesn't hold because
just real quick, you do know the fact that the Bible is the most purchased book in the world and the most printed book in the world. You do know that, right?
Yes, I understand that. Yes, I also know that the King James Bible has a copyright that is still held by the Crown of England. Did you know that?
Of course, I knew that, but again, if they wanted to change it, who
so I have. Listen to me. I have a replica. 1611 King James Bible. It's a replica.
Exactly. Okay, but you don't have a original one, correct?
Well, no one does. No one does. Are you kidding me? The best I can give you is I've got one page. Best I can give you is I have one page out of an original. So this was not copied from a modern day King James version back into Old English the way they think that it was written. No. This is actually a copy of the original, translated and ciphered by Sir Francis Bacon and John Dee in 1611. This is exact. Spelling, calligraphy, notes to the interpreter, notes from the interpreter in the front, everything. Okay. And when you go in there, Moses is now carrying tables down. Okay. This changed. There's no getting around it because I don't care when the fucking thing was printed. It has changed. That's what's so crazy. So this would mean that something supernatural is happening, or someone is sneaking into people's homes and changing their family Bibles with their lineage written in the front of them. You know, there's a lot of people have those, changing those and replacing them with exact, perfect copies with only certain words changed in them specifically.
I will point out, though, to be fair, right, to be fair on my behalf, that you do know that most people have never really even sat down and read the Bible. So some people,
that's too bad.
Well, once again, you have to let me finish my statement. I mean, that's fair, right? In order to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was just interjecting. That's sad. It really is. People should.
Right. I agree it's sad, but the reason I bring this up is somebody might say, well, yeah, I've read, over that part of the Bible, I believe it might have said this, but then they go back and look and it says something different. But it's like that doesn't prove that necessarily was a change there, because they could have just had a memory problem because they don't frequently go back and read over these things. And this is why, going back to some of the points you brought up with Jay, you brought up about how certain company logos or songs and stuff like that it might be different today to what it was, say, 20, 25 years ago. And one response I would have to that is say for an example, I don't know if you saw the this whole thing about the Monopoly game, right? The guy on there, he used to have a monocle, and I remember him having that when I seen it when I was a kid. I remember the box having him on there with a monocle, but now it don't have it on there. Now is that some type of Mandela effect? I would say no. A more reasonable answer to why that happened would be, over the course of time, a company might decide to change their logo, and they might not.
Exactly what one would think.
Please
hold on. You're right. You're right on. Yes, that's exactly what one would think. So what would be the next step?
But you didn't let me. Finish the statement, though. So going back to what I was saying, it's like the company could have changed the logo without, telling people, that publicly coming out saying they were going to change it. So someone might look at it and say, well, wait a second, now the logo is different from what I remember it being when I was a kid. And they might conclude, well, see, this is a Mandela effect. But in reality, it was just a company changing something over time from what it used to be, if you get what I'm saying.
Okay,
but would you agree that's a reasonable conclusion to some, maybe not all, but some?
It would be, and let me tell you why it's not in this instance. Okay, because now in this instance,
dealing with the Monopoly guy, right?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes. So in this reality, the Monopoly guy never had the monocle. There's
How do
people
you
go
know
and
that?
say, bullshit, I still have my Monopoly game from when I was a kid. They go get it out. They pull it out of the closet. And there's money bags with no monocle. Gone.
Well,
How does that happen?
could it be possible that maybe some of the board games might have had it on it, but some might not have had it on it? Could that
That
be a
is
possibility?
possible, but it's statistically impossible for hundreds of thousands of people to have the same experience with that particular effect.
Well, what I'm saying is, what if some of the boxes had him on it with a
No, because
monocle?
when you
Some
go
might
to
not.
when you can go to the company of that, look at the history of their fucking logo for the Monopoly guy. They'll show you. You can go and find the history of the changes in logos of any company. You will not find the Monopoly guy with a monocle ever, ever.
Well,
I've
I
looked at
mean,
garage sales, man. I've looked at garage sales, even look for there's an old Monopoly game from, shit. I saw one that was so old. The one I had, I don't have it anymore, but the one that I had was so old that the little houses and hotels were made of wood. They weren't made out of plastic. And that Monopoly guy had a monocle. I know he had a fucking monocle. Everybody knows he had a monocle, but never in the history of that game has Moneybags ever had a monocle now. So yeah, the first thing a person would think is, well, companies do change their logos, right? Yeah, sure. Well, let's see, when did they change it? And you go back and you look in time all the way the fuck back to the first Monopoly game, and he don't have a monocle. So you even remembering the Monopoly guy with a monocle is an indication that you, my friend, have been Mandela affected.
oh, wait a second. Wait, that's going to go into my next point. Do you know who a guy named Vsauce is? Mike,
No,
what is this guy? Michael Stevens? You never heard of this guy?
no.
How long have you been on YouTube for?
Wait, watching or as a creator?
Well, I mean,
I've
we'll say,
been watching YouTube since it first came out, back when it was cool.
and you've never heard of the YouTube channel called Vsauce? You've never heard of that before?
No.
Man,
Why?
that's
What is he?
crazy. But
What's he talking about?
anyway, the reason I was going to bring this up, he's very popular, scientific YouTuber, but he did a TV show, right, a Netflix series called Mind Field, and there's an episode that did, I believe the episode is called How Well Do You Know Yourself? But if you look on the seasons of it, you'll find a video on there where what they did, this is very fascinating. They took a couple people and they wanted to like play mind games with them, so they paid off their family to tell their children. I'm just giving one example out of the show. You have to watch it yourself to see the whole thing. But what happened was they paid the family off to tell their kids that, when we were little, we went to this, this one, popular park. And Vsauce went and took that person down to this park and asked them, do you have any memories of this place when you were a kid? You came down here. And a vast majority of the people they did this test on said, yeah, memories are coming back of, my experience, here. And they gave, vivid detail about, oh, I remember, walking over here, swinging on that swing, going in the hot air balloon for a ride with my family. And most of the people they used for this fell for this because they were told this even by their close family members who were in on this trick. And the whole thing was to show that you could convince people that they've had experiences that they did not actually have. So this whole thing that we're talking about, that just
What
let me finish.
that's part of the whole MK Ultra thing too, is like that.
Almost done. So what I'm showing is it is possible for people to have to claim that they've had experiences and be so sure about it, but actually it didn't actually happen in real life, even though they might be totally certain about it. Very fascinating. Look that up in your free time. Once again, the show's called Mind Field.
So based on that, yes, I'm familiar with other studies like that too. The human mind is manipulatable. It's malleable. Okay. MK Ultra proves this as well, even as diabolical as it actually is. However, for these specific changes, for that many people to be misremembering the exact same thing is statistically impossible. Okay. There's no way around it. The odds don't even add up. Now, you just kind of glossed over into that thing the fact that you have been Mandela affected. You remember the Monopoly guy with a monocle, yet if you will never find the Monopoly guy with a monocle. It never happened. Now, how did that happen? Did somebody plant you? Did somebody plant that memory into your head and then you just misremembered Monopoly guy?
Well, let me put this suggestion out there.
The best way to drive somebody crazy is to make them think that they're seeing and hearing things and whatnot. And they will
But
do
what do you
things.
got to say, ET, on
Okay.
the fact that on that right there? I mean, you
Okay,
have
could I
memories
please,
of
I
that.
get,
Well, wait a second. Let me finish
yeah,
asking the question.
yeah.
You have memories of money bags from the Monopoly game. You have memories of him with a monocle, yet he never had the monocle. How do you explain that?
Okay, I'll answer the question. And let me respond without being yelled at and
Yeah, I'm
you
not
know
going to yell at you. I'm
and
just
all that.
asking how
Could
do
I
you
could I
respond to that?
propose could I propose a possible idea that maybe he did actually have one and the information that you got might have been incorrect?
Well, check it yourself.
Could that in all factuality, could
Yeah,
that
yeah.
technically be a
That's
possibility?
absolutely possible. So I would beg for you to
Oh, and wait,
investigate it
where
yourself.
did you get that? Where did you get that information from? Because you went on a rampage on Jay's stream about, oh, well, you're using Google. You can't get your information from Google. So I must
Well,
ask you that. Where did
if
you
I
get your
go and I
information
look up, Hasbro, for instance, the toy company,
on
okay,
Google?
well, it doesn't matter. Any search engine is going to give you that.
Wait. So now it don't matter. But you told him that he's going on
No, he
for
gets
using
his
Google for information.
information. He gets his information from Google. In other words, he's the type of moron that goes into Google and types in flat Earth. Do you know what Google gives you if you
Dude,
type in
that's
flat
not.
Earth?
That,
No, no, no,
dude,
no, no. Finish.
oh,
Do you know what Google gives you if you type in flat Earth? It
yes, I
gives you
know from
garbage.
your.
It gives you
Could I
garbage.
could I
Okay.
please respond? I understand your question. Please
So
give me a chance to
don't
respond.
try to paint me in a fucking corner by broad stroking my statement about using it for factual information on various topics. It's real good if you want to look up a company's name or address, or perhaps you'd like to know who the top investors of a company are. So don't try to broad brush stroke me into a
Okay, but
fucking corner with that shit.
for the record, I didn't try to do that, but I must point out two things here. For one, as I said, I've known Jay for a few years now, and as far as flat Earth, all of us know that going to Google and just typing up the term flat Earth and the information they give you, all of that is clearly false. So no, he's not going on there doing that.
Same thing
But
with YouTube.
please let me finish. But I'd like to point out, based on your conversation with Jay earlier, you did not make it clear about there are some factual information you can get on Google.
Like names and addresses. I have to spell that out for him. I thought you said this guy was smart. I have to spell that shit out for him.
Just for everybody to know, I'm being very chill and being very friendly. I'm not.
No, I'm just incredulous. Sometimes I'm like, wait a second. I would really have to. I thought this guy was smart. I have to actually lay everything out. That yes, a name and address of someone is not misinformation. But if I go looking into a topic, they're going to give me the controlled opposition fucking information for that topic.
Okay, so just for the
now,
audience,
I'm sorry I had to spell that shit out, but I thought that was kind of evident.
Okay, but once again, based on what I watched earlier, you just got on him for saying, "Oh, we use Google to get your information." You did not make a clarification about what it is exactly you're looking up.
It was necessary.
Please let me finish so you can properly respond to what I'm saying. So all I'm saying is it doesn't seem fair how you could get on him for going to Google to get information from there. But then now when me and you are talking, you're saying, yeah, some information on Google is reliable. But then earlier you were like, no, you can't go to Google.
Do you understand the difference between a fucking name and an address and a topic?
Do
you understand the difference between a name and address and a topic?
Yes.
Okay, great. So if I go looking for information on a topic, is different than if I go looking for an address or a stockholder or something like that, right? But if you're going to Google to find any information on a topic, especially a controversial topic, you're going to get fed bullshit right off the bat. That was my point. Now, listen, I thought that it was not necessary to have to point that out because an intelligent person would already understand that without somebody having to sit them down and going, okay, now, Timmy, this is a round peg and this is a round hole. So, you know, it's kind of a fucking thing that you figure out as a matter of logic. So now that it's been kind of explained, you can see why that's kind of ridiculous.
Okay, but by the same line of logic, if I was to go on Google and look up the term Mandela effect, would you say that all the information I get is wrong because it comes from Google?
I would say that the top information that you get is going to be everything that tries to detract away from truth on that.
But what if
the same way that flat Earth gets you the results that you get?
But did you know how long have you been looking into flat Earth? You'll see why.
How long? Since about 2016.
Okay. Well, I myself as well have been looking into flat Earth since then. And I remember there was a time when you could go on Google and look up the term, you know, flat Earth
There
proof.
was a time.
And
You're right.
please let me finish. There was a time a few years back in say 2016, early 2017, when the topics first started to hit the internet by storm and people were looking into this, where you could go on Google and you would actually find a fair information, both trying to disprove the idea and also trying to support the idea. But then, of course, over the course of time, they, you know, shadow banned it where that information is banned from there. So now today, if you were to, you know, use Google to try to look for flat Earth evidence, you would not get any fair information trying to support the idea. But we can agree at one point, Google did give fair information on that topic. Can you agree with me on that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now what you just said, and everywhere where you said flat Earth, now replace that with Mandela effect. Okay. Same thing. Okay. Same thing. They want this, they don't want people looking into this. They don't want people, and if they do look into it, they want them looking in the wrong place. They want them looking at CERN. They don't want them to see what's really fucking going on. And if they do, but most of the shit you're going to come up with on that, because of the censorship and the algorithms, is going to be things detracting away from it so that people don't even bother to look into it. When in reality, this is big. This is big. Do you know what this means? That your reality is fluid. This means that something supernatural is taking place and changing things.
Wait,
but not just changing things, changing specific things.
Wait, so you do believe in something supernatural, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
But do you not believe in a God?
I believe in a creator, yes.
Okay, just not the God of the Bible, right?
Well, which God of the Bible?
I mean, well, that's a different conversation because the Bible says
I know.
There's many gods. The Bible
I know. Which God in the Bible? There's about 3 of them that they're being speaking about, and you assume that it's always the same one.
Tell me the 3.
Well, let's see. We've got one is a punisher. But listen, hold on. We're not going to get into a theological discussion here. We're talking about Mandela effect here tonight.
Wait. Hold on a second. I'd like to point out that I didn't even get to the main question. I was so intrigued to come on here and ask it.
All right,
didn't have to do with Mandela effect. Wait, brother, just hold on a second. Hold on. I don't have to go yet. We have some time.
Oh, that's fine. I got time, man.
Okay, cool.
I'm just up here floating over our blue marble right now.
Yeah. Yeah, man. As I said, I'm just here having, a nice chill conversation, right? I'm not trying to argue, I'll hear you out.
Well, I know, I got to say though, ET, I do got to say though, I think it's really cool though. You had a Mandela effect. I mean, I think that's cool. I mean, that's got to intrigue you somewhat. How in the fuck could you misremember me and all these other people? That's fucking crazy, right?
Well, I wouldn't say I had a Mandela effect, though. I will say I am a person who have experienced something called lucid dreaming. So that's a very fascinating phenomenon. But anyway, I digress. Going back to the 3 gods, right? You mentioned there's 3 gods in the Bible, and you started saying that one
wasn't the topic.
There's many gods.
We're at the Overlook. Sidewinder, Colorado. Do you know what that is, ET? Hold on, let me check.
No.
That's a room key to room 237 of the Overlook. Did you ever see The Shining?
Oh yeah, I've seen that movie.
That's the room. That's the hotel, bro.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. A little fun fact for you. You ever seen the Toy Story movie? The rug that was used in one of the rooms there, they actually took that. It was the same rug from the Shining movie. Yeah.
Check it out. Look at my off-screen thing. It says a Kubrick production on it. See that? Look.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool.
So anyway, go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I was just going to ask, if you could continue on the notion you were saying earlier about you mentioned the 3 gods in the Bible. Then I asked, could you elaborate on that? And then you were starting to say, one of them is like a destroyer.
Well, one of them is definitely fucking Lucifer. One is definitely Lucifer, and they put him under the guise of God, all under one word. Okay. So we've got, first off, to start with, we've got a creator who's kind and loving. Then we've got one that's going to burn and torture people. And then we've got another, and you see, a lot of times what they're doing in there is they're interspersing shit to fit a narrative. You have to be really, really careful and discerning with it. And as I've said, that fucking child molester that was on there with the preacher guy, okay? He comes on.
I wouldn't go as far to say that, even though
he stabbed his mother. What the hell? That's only anything else other than stabbing your mother. I mean, Christ Almighty, all the rest is like just gravy on the cake. I mean, anybody stab your mother. Christ. Okay. But anyway, he's a Paulist. Okay, first off, and it's like, wait a second, do you follow Jesus or do you follow Paul? All right. Secondly, he doesn't believe in God. He believes in the Bible. Okay. He's worshiping the Bible, not God. And it expressly tells you in there not to worship the fucking word, not to worship the book. You're supposed to have God in your heart, not in a book. God doesn't live in a fucking book. It's ridiculous. And this is what these messages are actually teaching us.
What about the third God? You didn't get to the characteristics of the third God. You stopped.
Oh, listen, that's all, like I said, that's a whole nother discussion for another topic.
Okay. Well, let me stop you there. You know, I was raised in the Christian church, right? I was raised both in the Catholic church and then in the Seventh-day Adventist church. But then, you know, I started to read the Bible for myself. I've read the Bible probably, you know, at least 2 times, cover to cover, and then I've read each individual book a handful of times. But anyway, based on my experience with that, I came to find out that many things that the Christian church are teaching about the Bible are incorrect. So that doesn't necessarily mean the Bible's false or wrong, but rather people's understanding of the Bible is wrong. Like, let me give you an example. Something you said about, you know, one God in the Bible that's all about, you know, love and peace. I would disagree with that statement, because there's plenty of places in the Bible where the God of the Bible is an even balance. He both loves, but he also hates. That's the God of the Bible.
Well, that's the whole story is this, my friend. The whole thing is this. It's polarity. It's about polarity. Okay. Even the whole story of Adam and Eve is about polarity. The negative and the positive, the yin, the yang, the duality. Okay. That whole thing. So
with that, why? Okay. But with that statement, right? Why would you say that there's one God in the Bible that's all about love then? Because it seems like you contradicted that statement with that statement you just made there.
What about the duality?
Yeah, about the duality. Say, for an example, right?
Well, even God said it himself. He said, "For I created everything." He created good, and he said he created evil.
Exactly. So I'm asking, with that, right? Your quote in Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7. I'll read it for the audience. It says, "For I create light, create darkness. I make peace, create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things." That cuts to Christianity and these wacky tacky Christian churches, as we call them. But with that statement, right, now that you can agree the Bible says that, how could you then make a statement and say that there's one of the gods in the Bible that's all about love? Well, how could you make that correlation?
Well, because there's instances where they're just switching people, they're switching characters, and you're not knowing it because they're just using an ambiguous title.
Could I have one example of this?
Well, yeah, they use the word God. God is not a name; it's a title.
Yeah,
in the original scripture, the name of the God is used. So what is God's name? So it must be jealous. Is it jealous, or is it Jehovah? You've got Yahweh, or, you know, the unpronounceable name of God. That's one. Okay. You've got Jehovah. What the fuck is that? That's a whole nother one. Now that motherfucker evil. All right. It's got, they're interspersed and nobody notices because they use a title and not a name. But you have to take it even further and know that these books were written at different times when a different monolithic God was conceived of.
You do know the Bible calls men gods too, right? Psalms 82 verse 6 says, "For ye are gods."
Well, it says that. Listen, it says that today.
I like men and fall like princes.
Hey, it says that
she's cutting out on mine.
It says that today, right? But who knows? Tomorrow it could change. We've seen a whole bunch of stuff change. Okay, I'm going to take you to one. Are you familiar? Are you familiar with OT, with the Old Testament?
I wouldn't say I'm as knowledgeable as the New Testament, of course, but yeah, I've definitely.
Right. Okay. Well, I think one of the important ones is Leviticus. Wouldn't you agree that Leviticus is a very, very important book of the Bible?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I can agree. But wait, hold, just stop real quick. Before we move on to another topic, can't we just?
I'm not moving on to another topic. I'm just going to show you something that's going to blow your mind.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead with what you're saying while I find this.
Okay. Well, he's looking for that. All I'm asking for clarity for the audience is the brother made a statement about, you know, there's 3 different gods in the Bible. You know, and I've heard this idea before. You know, there's some people I talk to who believe that the God of the Old Testament is actually the devil, and that the real God is Christ in the New Testament. You know, that's bugged out. So
I got one even better than that.
I was simply asking, you know, if he could show me where's this notion that there's like 3 separate gods in the
Bible. Why don't you do a little research? I'm just going to suggest this.
130.
Do a little research.
Look up Athena in the Bible. She's a Greek goddess. Look up Apollo in the Bible. There's a god for you. And just do a little bit of research and just start questioning some of the things that you already know.
Well, I'd like to.
And then you can start to see the history and where they got their scripts from.
Okay, now let me stop you there.
Because there's more than 3 gods.
Let me finish.
Excuse me. You have talked over me since you got here. You didn't even let me finish, and then you say, "I'm not trying to interrupt here or talk over anybody," but you did that to me when you first came. So I'm just saying, look in that direction, because you are asking some important questions. So just look in that direction and start questioning what you already know and just asking yourself those questions. But if you start there, that will start giving you a direction in which to Do your own study.
So, E.T., check this out.
Now, wait, but wait, hold on a second. That's not fair. Before you read that, please let me give a response to what she just brought up. That's not fair if I don't get to do that. What she said there, I agree that in the Bible, it gives references to other gods that are believed to exist, but it's not saying that those are real supreme gods. It's just mentioning that other nations have gods that they worship. So I can agree.
You don't know what a God King is?
Wait, you just complained about me cutting you off, but you're a hypocrite.
Well, you've been doing that to me, so I was just throwing that in. Do you know what a God King is? You ever looked up the term?
A God King, you said?
Yes.
A God King. Tell me, I've never heard anybody use that.
Go do your research. Don't ask me.
Let me ask you something, E.T. Let me just. I'm going.